Call to order the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority Finance Committee meeting for October 3rd, 2022. And the business is to review August financials. And we were provided with some information before the meeting with a statement of financial position and some other information, a P&L, or budget to actual. And I wonder, Patty, whether you would go over your explanation of what's cooking. I'm particularly anticipating answers about some large entries under general expense.
As we look at the statement of financial position, you'll notice under cash security deposits that is 68 now. That is up from 27 in July. We're making a concerted effort to bring the security deposits back to their full figure.
These are numbers that are really required.
Yes. Your security deposit account is restricted and it should have the funds in it total, including interest, with what you would have to pay out if you had to pay out tomorrow. Our regular accounts receivable is only at 307, so we're still doing quite well at bringing the receivables in. Our biggest chunk of receivables still belong to the wind turbine project, and that is slowly coming in, so we're making progress there. We just actually received a check today from Auburn Crane. They had overbilled us on one of our invoices, so we received some money back, which will turn around and pay the new invoice, which is always no money out of our pocket, if you will. Everything else in our current assets and our fixed assets remain quite stable. If we go down to our accounts payable, our retirement is down to 94,280. As of September 23rd, it was paid in full. So the 2022 invoice is closed out, and we've even paid the interest on it, which was $1,000 less than last year's interest. And on a side note there, we have half of what we estimated is already put aside for the 2022 invoice. Our regular accounts payable are at 990, and if you look on the back, you'll notice that almost everything on the back has indeed been paid in full. That made up a majority of that 990,000. We received one of our big wind turbine payments, and that allowed us to pay off Auburn Crane and OMLC completely. Ascent Aviation, we've been able to pay off due to the fact that we have added another, it's only internally restricted, but we've added a restricted account to our books in September called Aviation Fuel and Credit Cards. That account is collecting all the money that people charge landing fees or whatever they may have at the airport, including fuel, which is the majority of what's in there. We are also putting in the amounts that Contour pays to purchase fuel. So we're now holding a little pot of money that allows us to pay Ascent Aviation when the bills come in. So everything has been paid off except eTransit, who has had its accounts payable slashed in half. And we're there again, we're making another concerted effort to get that under control, so we can get some training and go forward on a monthly basis and not be so far behind. And all of the AP projects, there were only 2 invoices out there. One has been paid, so the only thing left is $5,000 in project accounts payable. Maybe you can help me, Stephanie. Are we supposed to be paying that $5,000 yet?
For
And
We should pay that.
Okay,
I think I sent you an email.
I thought you had.
Yes.
Yep. So that will take out all of our project accounts payable at the end of September. Any questions on the financial position?
Is the restricted account for Ascent Aviation, is that something that you set up as a management tool at your initiative?
Yes. With knowing that the ARPA money will be ending no later than January of this year,
Mhm.
we felt we had to do something in order to keep up with the Ascent bills. And no matter what anybody pays for fuel, we felt whether it was retail, as most people pay, even if we had given a deal to Contour, we wanted to have that money somewhere so that we could continue to purchase the fuel from Ascent.
Mhm.
So that we decided on our own to create. We've also created a separate account to pay one of the loans because it was in an account that had a sweep. So they were forever charging us late fees because they couldn't sweep on the day they wanted, and then they'd have to reverse the late fees. So I said, all right, let's solve this. And we now have it in an account that has no sweep. So we've been trying to set up some additional accounts, even if it's only internal restrictions,
Sure.
so that we can keep a better handle on our money going forward when some of these grants, like the ARPA, disappear.
Mhm.
Any questions then? Dave, are you good with that one?
I'm good, I'm listening.
Okay. So we'll go then to the budget to actual. We're up on bridge revenue, 4,700 for the month and 5,400 for the year.
54,000.
54,000. Remember though that bridge revenue also includes our rent. Our total income is still at a deficit, but our rent is keeping us quite solid. Our airport revenue is still up. We've more than doubled what we had anticipated through August on our airport parking income, which surprised me a bit. Our rental income, we didn't expect to make much at all, and we're probably a third higher than we expected to be on rental income. So some of these little things that are in the budget are becoming more significant as we go along. Our airport fuel sales are up 111,000 for the year. And you'll notice our fuel sale expense is at 203. What one has to consider is the difference between those two should equal the inventory in the tanks. So there should be somewhat of a difference of hopefully that much in the tanks if you took the gallons and multiplied it out. The industrial park is down a bit. We've had 5 tenants who have or are not renewing their leases. We put 4 more in, so we're only down 1, if you will. And we had 1 tenant default on their lease, and they were since terminated. So we're seeing, we'll be carrying that one. We hadn't expected them to default on their lease. So we'll be carrying some of those things for another few months. Our port revenue is up, which is always good, and that's mostly salt at this point. Railroad revenue, we don't write that big invoice until next spring. And wind turbine income is up quite a lot, but that has to do with the timing of when the invoices came in. The bridge has some very good under budgets. Our salary and benefits are basically because the director of operations and general mechanic were not hired in August. James came on in September, so it's all going to go away now that James is hired. And well, we still have a general mechanics position that's not been hired. Due to the Tiger grant that ended last year, we haven't had to expend as much money on the bridge maintenance as we had anticipated, so that's happily under budget also. The reason our utility expenses, and all of them are over budget, is we budgeted net instead of gross. Most of our tenants pay a portion of their portion of the utilities, but what we did is we assumed their portion when we budgeted, which we shouldn't have. The fuel sales we've discussed. The general expenses, you'll notice, are up $407,000. That was our first Contour invoice. And of course, when we did the budget last year, we did not anticipate going to the alternative EAS service, and that DOT would simply continue to pay SkyWest. So we're going to see this number jump by approximately $400,000 a month through the end of the year, and then we can budget for the anticipated expense at the airport. The industrial park is remaining quite solid. The terminal.
Patty, can I stop you a second? Quick question. Where would that money have been before, say, with SkyWest? That would have all been in the payments back and forth?
No, US DOT used to pay SkyWest directly.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
They
Yep.
never got involved in the actual SkyWest invoicing, where we're now involved in the Contour invoicing.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
And is there a new revenue that offsets that?
No, they reimburse us.
Yes.
US DOT reimburse us. It takes about 4 days after the one thing we do have to do, however, is we have to wait until Contour cashes the check. We have to be able to show both sides of that check before we can request reimbursement. But as soon as we get that check being cashed, then we can submit. US DOT reimburses the Watertown savings account, and we just swipe it back to the line of credit. And then it's,
So we have not yet gone through a full cycle of that to see the reimbursement show.
the reimbursement will actually show up, but no, because we didn't pay until later in August, and we got that money back in September.
Sure.
The only place that will show up is on the balance sheet under cash, because it's just simply going back into a bank account. We don't put it through, well, it would show up as a receivable also if we want it.
So this isn't functioning really like a P&L. It's actual to budget, but if you had a P&L somewhere there.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yep.
So it will likely be a flow through. We've asked the auditors how to actually do it properly,
Great.
so that we don't have to go back in March and say,
Yep.
hey, we've got this $3 million journal entry we have to write. So we are asking
I'm
the
delighted.
auditors.
I'm sure that'll be fine.
Yeah. They know best.
Yep.
And then we go over and our wind turbine expenses are really just a matter of timing. So our operating income is year-to-date actual is 614 to the good. And then so far this year, we've received 601 in CRRSA and ARPA money. So we're actually doing fairly well, but we have to remember that so much of what we're doing well on is wind turbine and ARPA reimbursements.
Mhm.
Any questions?
I don't think I have any questions, Sandy.
I'm good.
David, any questions pop up for you?
Nope, I'm good. That general thing was, I had on my radar, but that's all. I got it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
With the fuel, the
Mhm.
airport fuel. Now, we bill, for example, we billed Contour the 1st of August for what they used in July.
Mhm.
So that payment didn't hit the books to show July, correct?
No, it shows in August.
Right,
Because the
so,
bill is, everything for Contour is billed in arrears.
correct.
So
Okay.
August billing was actually the first month of
Of
their
July.
being here for July.
So with the fuel, we purchased fuel in September, but we did not bill them, well, we haven't billed them yet, for, it was over 9,000 gallons in September. So that hasn't been billed, so there's always a,
But don't forget, we billed in September for August.
right,
So you've got 2 months worth of their payments for fuel in.
right,
And
Hmm.
August's payment was just over $60,000,
correct.
which more than was able to pay what we had outstanding in fuel.
Correct. But it's about a month
Behind.
behind receiving the payment for
Well, we
the
received the
contract.
payment quickly, it's just that we're billing
Right.
backwards instead of
Right.
forwards.
Right. But when we did the budget, we didn't anticipate that.
No, we didn't anticipate any of this. So we will be very out of whack just with the AEAS fees. And then Contour was also not expected to purchase fuel,
Right.
and now they are. So we have a lot of things in play right now that we're getting used to with Contour and the whole new AEAS service.
Good. All set?
All set.
Andy Gardner is on the line.
I'm all set, thank you, though.
Hi, Andy. I don't know if there's anything else. Is there anything other than review of the statements that's appropriate for the meeting, Sam?
No, I'm just thinking it'll probably be sometime in October when the funding for the airport expansion will actually show up. Construction in progress?
Yes, any of those invoices we'll probably start to see relatively soon.
Not until the grant agreement's signed.
Right.
It'll probably be November.
Really,
Yeah.
November?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, if you're asking, will we be reimbursed for work that's, I guess the date is September 14th when the announcement was.
Yes.
So any work after that, we don't have a lot, but any work after that is reimbursable,
Okay,
provided it's part of the grant agreement.
right.
If that's your question,
Yep,
but
yep.
until right now, currently, we're working on that. We're sending our draft back to them, and it might go back and forth before it's signed, but we'll have to bring a resolution to the board that reflects that
Okay.
grant agreement.
Mhm.
And on another pleasant note, the amount for the Chrissy grant, our portion, we have already put away enough to pay our portion of the first piece, and we've almost paid for the second piece.
Yeah, that's great.
And this is some of this additional monies that we hadn't anticipated. We had anticipated 2 Vestas projects, but we got the GE.
Mm,
So
right.
we have unbudgeted money that we're able to do a little of this with. And then our next Chrissy piece is not until next May.
Good.
So that gives us a little buffer time to
Yeah.
collect the funds for the third and fourth piece.
And if you recall, and I think we talked directly, Chris, about this, was we knew the Chrissy budget because we had waited so long, or things were slow to go, that inflation,
That's right.
COVID, and we went way beyond our original, budgeted amount of $1 million.
Mhm.
But if we recall, I guess what I'm saying is what Patty's telling you is kind of falling into place of what we expected.
Yes.
So as of now, with these two pieces, I'm relieved that we pulled back some of the profits from the port
Mhm.
to put that aside for that. So, it's still not a done deal here, but it matched in with what our discussion on how we presented that.
That's right.
So-
I think it's really excellent to have the equipment and, it makes the port more competitive.
And we've already put that loader to use right now, relocating salt and on also loading out GE fixtures.
Wonderful.
So we're more productive and then as this equipment comes in, it'll be helpful on the profit side of things.
Super.
So we have two more pieces.
Yeah, two more a feeder conveyor
Mhm.
and I think the large conveyor, the ship loading conveyor will be here first. We will
I
anticipate
think that's May.
April or May, and then in end of June will be the feeder conveyor. And that whole package really will really allow us to give better pricing, but also gives us more flexibility with a number of products that we've done in the past, and hopefully we'll have that in place for next year. Nothing yet,
Yeah,
to have that capability and not paying the motor fees and all of that.
Mhm.
It'll really put us in a good spot.
Super.
let's make sure when we have visitors coming, they know that,
Yes,
what that means to us to have that additional equipment. As far as productivity and lowering our cost.
that'll be an important point to talk about.
Mhm. I'm all set.
Is there anything else for our meeting today? David, are you ready for us to adjourn? Okay.
I would move as such. I will move for adjournment.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, that's a quick meeting.
Yeah.